welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast, your home for weekly information and inspiration to help you get the graduate job of your dreams.
Hello and welcome to the Graduate Job Podcast with your host, James Curran. The Graduate Job Podcast is your home for all things related to helping you on your journey to find that amazing job. Each episode I bring together the best minds in the industry, speaking to leading authors, graduate recruiters and career coaches who bring decades of experience into a bite-sized weekly 30-minute-ish show. Put simply, this is a show I wish I had when I graduated. Hello and welcome to the 104th episode of the Graduate Job Podcast, the UK's #1 careers podcast. The days of popping your CV in the post to apply for a graduate job are long gone, which is why you need to make sure that your online application is absolutely top-notch. The industry average is that 75% of people fail the online application stage. Let that sink in. 75%. That's an awful lot of people who aren't getting over the first hurdle in their application for a graduate job, and a lot of wasted time and energy. But today, that is going to change, as we are going to go through the 5 rules that you need to follow to ensure that your online application for a graduate job isn't wasted, and that it gets you through to the next stage of the process. So sit back, relax, and have a listen to these 5 rules, safely in the knowledge that you can download a full transcript of the episode today over in the show notes at graduatejobpodcast.com/online applications. Before we start, let me tell you about my upcoming online course titled How to Get a Graduate Job, which goes live on the 3rd of September. Now, this is 1 week later than planned, but I didn't want to rush it. Now, the course condenses down all my years of experience of coaching people to get graduate jobs, my personal experience applying for graduate jobs, and then being on the other side of the table and interviewing other people going for graduate jobs. And also from the 100+ episodes of the podcast, condensing all of that down into one online video course, which takes you step by step through everything you need to know and everything you need to do to get on a graduate scheme. I take you through 8 modules, from getting ready to apply to online applications, online tests, video interviews, all aspects of assessment centres. Look, if you need to know it or do it to get a graduate job, it's in my course. This course is for you if you've been applying to graduate schemes but just not been getting any offers and you don't know why. Or if you've just graduated and you know that it's going to be a really tough competitive job market and you want to make sure that you are as prepared as you can be, then this course is definitely for you. If you are serious about getting on a graduate scheme, then head to howtogetagraduatejob.com, where you can get my free guide, the 5 steps you must take before you start applying for a graduate job. It will revolutionise how you get ready to start applying for graduate schemes. Okay, let's crack on with the show. So let's dive straight into the first rule, which is you need to examine the job spec. Before you start firing off applications to companies, you need to spend time looking at what it is that they want from applicants. This is an absolutely crucial step, and helpfully, every company will tell you what they're looking for. So firstly, do you meet the key requirements in terms of grade requirements, visa requirements, language requirements, etc.? I recently had DS Smith, the big FTSE 100 packaging company, on the show. And to apply for their really good finance scheme, there was 3 key requirements. Number 1, you needed a 2-1. Number 2, you were fluent in English and one other European language. And number 3, that you had the right to work in the UK. So Brian Sinclair, the graduate recruitment manager, was on, and he said 70% of people didn't have those 3 things that were needed. So if you're applying for a job which says they want a 2-1 and you've got a 2-2, you're just not going to go very far. You're not going to go anywhere. You're just completely wasting your time. So check what the key requirements are for the graduate schemes you're applying to, and if you meet them. If you do have these 3 things, then make sure that they are nice and prominent in your application so that the recruiter can see them easily, and then you can sail through these stages. Now, as well as the 3 key requirements DS Smith had, they had 6 key attributes. So 6 competencies that they'd highlighted in the job spec. They made it nice and easy for you because these were highlighted in bold, they were big and central on the page, you couldn't miss them. Those 6 things were collaborative, innovative, trustworthy, willing to learn, adaptable, and finally, strategic. They were the 6 characteristics that DS Smith was looking for in their applicants. And it's not just DS Smith. Every graduate scheme you apply to, they're going to have a job spec with these characteristics front and centre. And it is crucial that you go through and you clearly understand exactly what they're looking for. And as you do so, you need to be thinking of personal examples you have from work, university, school, voluntary activities, sporting, university societies, whatever it might be. Where have you done these things that they're looking for? Is there a group project at university that demonstrates how innovative you are? Are there sporting examples which show your teamwork and leadership skills? How about the inventive way that you doubled engagement for your student society, etc.? Start thinking about how you can demonstrate these competencies, not just in the online application, but in the cover letter, CV if you've got them, and then also once you get to the interview stage and then the assessment centre. Now, in an online application, sometimes some of the questions you'll be asked will directly address these competencies. But if they don't, it's your job to make sure that you are highlighting them and then bringing these values and competencies to the fore across the whole application, whether in the CV, the cover letter, or in the answers to the online application. For example, in your CV, if you're talking about an example where you're working in a team, look to replay the language that's been used in the job spec. So in the key attributes, DS Smith talk about working collaboratively. They talk about delivery. They talk about creative problem solving. See it as a jigsaw puzzle. They provided the pieces and it's your job to subtly, keyword being subtly, fit them into place across your online application. They're telling you what they're looking for. It's your job just to highlight to them where you've done these things. So let's move on to the next rule, which is highlighting your USPs. A USP is a unique selling point. It's a factor that differentiates a product from its competitors. And my question to you is, what is your USP? What is your unique selling point? What is it that sets you apart? And don't even try telling me that nothing sets you apart, as I don't believe you. When you apply for a graduate job, you are the product. You are the product which is trying to stand out from thousands of competitors who want the same role. And a CV or online application is just one of the tools you're going to need to stand out. You need to think about the 3 things that differentiate you from the other people applying for this role. And then once you've identified them, you need to make sure that they are nice and prominent in your CV and throughout all parts of the online application. You may be wondering, what do you mean by USP and how can I find mine? Well, your USP could be your grades. Did you get first? Could be your masters. Could be your language skills. Could be your work experience. Could be the degree you did. Could be your year in industry. Could be your internship. Could be your dissertation. There are so many different options of what can make up your USP, and we work through these in detail in the online application part of the How to Get a Graduate Job course, where we identify them in detail. Now, thinking back to what were my USPs when I was applying for a graduate job. My first was that I'd spent a year teaching English in China, and that was a big differentiator at the time. My second was my work experience. I was working full-time in a graduate job in Leeds whilst I was applying for graduate schemes down in London. So that work experience again was a differentiator. And then the third thing that I played up was my sporting achievements. So I'd captained various football teams and cricket teams from a young age through to university. So that teamwork and leadership aspect was something else that I played up as my third USP. Now the point of telling you these isn't to be competitive or to think that you need to have a double first from Cambridge or work experience from the UN to stand out. It's not. It's just about getting you thinking about what are your strengths. And don't tell me that you haven't got any. I don't believe you. Everybody does. You just need to put some time and thinking into what is going to make a recruiter interested in you. And once you've got those 3 USPs nice and clear, then the next step after identifying them is to make sure that they are prominent in your online application, clear in your CV, consistent in the cover letter, and that you are mentioning them in every interview you do. Okay, let's move on to the next rule, which is you need to tailor your application. You need to tailor every single application. This is a golden rule. There is no good knowing the job spec. There is no good knowing your 3 USPs unless you then bring them out in each application. And the only way you can do this is if you tailor each and every application which you submit. This is non-negotiable if you want to succeed. You need to tailor each and every single application. The temptation might be that you just cut and paste an answer for why you want to work for one firm to another. Or you just reuse a CV or reuse a cover letter and you just change the name of the company. I mean, it's a firm in the same industry. No one's going to notice, are they? Nope, nope, and nope. It's just not going to work. There is no good going through the process above if you don't then put it to use by integrating the things that you've learned into the application. And to do this, you need to tailor each application. Now, this is why it's vital to focus down on a small number of applications, as you just can't put the time and energy into tailoring applications if you're trying to apply to 20 companies at once. Lazy candidates cut and paste applications, but lazy candidates don't get past the online application stage. Don't make this mistake. The next rule to remember about the online application phase is expect it to be painful. Online applications can be a real pain in the behind. And you know why that is the case? Because they are designed to be a real pain in the behind. Companies make it intentionally difficult to complete by giving you lots of different hoops to jump through. Whether that's competency questions where you've got to answer them in 500 words or less, or 50 words or less, or whatever it might be. And do you know why this is the case? Why they make it painful? Because they want to see which applicants can be bothered from those that can't. Those that tailor the application versus those who just copy and paste. Those who fill the word count from those that don't bother. As Dan Doherty said on episode 103, where I interviewed him about Capgemini, he said, "If there's a lack of motivation to apply properly, then we may think that you've got a lack of motivation to actually want the job." What does it say about you as a candidate? And what would you be like if you actually got the job? If you're a candidate who really wants it, then you want hurdles. The more hurdles, the better, because you're going to jump them and everybody else won't. And if that's the case, then it's easier for you because there's going to be fewer people at each stage of the process because they've all been chopped. So embrace the pain and the difficulty and keep going. Now, yes, it might be difficult, but it means that other people are quitting. So just keep going. And the 5th golden rule for you today is spelling and grammar. So let's just get this clear. No ifs, no buts. From a spelling and grammar perspective, your online application needs to be perfect. No spelling mistakes, no typos, no wrong words. The standard needs to be extremely, extremely high, because the view of a graduate recruiter will be, if you can't be bothered to get this right on an application, then what does it say about you as a candidate? I'll tell you what it says. It says that you have low standards. It says that you don't care about your work. It says that you have poor attention to detail. And it says your application should be rejected. If you're like this when you're trying your hardest, when you're applying for a job, then what are you going to be like if the pressure is off? So what is the solution? There are 2 solutions. The first is to download Grammarly. You can get it for your PC, you can get it for your Mac, and it's free. And it is many times better than the inbuilt spell checker on Word, and it's going to help ensure that your spelling and grammar is on point. But it isn't a silver bullet. It will pick up a lot of things, but it won't pick up everything. So it won't pick up if you've just used the wrong word. So for me, when I'm typing, I'm not very good at typing, and I always type the word from, I misspell it, and it comes out as form. So it wouldn't get picked up. It wouldn't get picked up on a spell checker like that because the word is spelt right. It's just not the right word. So you can't solely rely on Grammarly or the spell check function. You need to also use your brain and other people's brains to check it properly. which is why spell checking and proofreading is so important. Now, proofreading is a bigger topic than today, and it's so big that I even gave it its own video and handouts in the How to Get a Graduate Job course, dedicated just to proofreading effectively. But you need to put your time and effort into it. Make sure that you take the time to check it, and then give it to friends and family to check as well, as 2 or 3 heads or sets of eyes are definitely better than 1. So there you go. There are 5 rules for you to follow to ensure that your online application is top notch. Number 1, focus on the job spec. Number 2, highlight your USPs. Number 3, tailoring your application. Number 4, expect it to be painful. And number 5, spelling and grammar. Follow all of these and you will be ahead of 90% of other candidates. Now, if you're serious about getting a graduate job this year, as in, yes, I am really serious about getting a graduate job, then check out my upcoming course, How to Get a Graduate Job, launching on the 3rd of September. I mentioned it earlier in the show. It's made up of 8 modules. It's got 23 separate videos where I take you through every aspect of the graduate recruitment process, from getting your mindset right to getting ready to apply, all the stages of the process through to dealing with offers or coping with rejection. To give you an idea, Module 3 is where we cover online applications. And that module has 5 sections. It's got 6 videos lasting about 4 hours in length. We cover online application fundamentals, completing online lead competency questions. We go over CVs, look at real life CVs, look at cover letters, and we look at proofreading. So today we covered 5 rules. And in the course, I cover an additional 16 secrets and rules that you need to know when you're applying for online applications. So if you've decided that this year is your year and that you're serious about standing out from the crowd as you apply for a graduate scheme, then head to howtogetagraduatejob.com where you can find out more and also get your hands on my free guide. There are 5 steps you must take before applying for graduate jobs. Okay, let's leave it there today. Check out the show notes at graduatejobpodcast.com/online applications, where you can find a full transcript and links to everything that we discussed. And as I mentioned, if you are really serious about getting ahead and getting a graduate scheme, then go to howtogetagraduatejob.com. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, but more importantly, I hope you use it and apply it. See you next week.